Yo, what up? What up? What up, y'all? It is Joey Womack, founder, CEO of Goody Nation, coming to you with a special guest today. We're going to talk a little bit small business. We're going to talk a little bit about people management, HR, and the intersection of the two in the age of AI. So I want you all to lock in, use this as an opportunity to get better, and then apply what you learn in order to make your business reach its potential. So, how this is going to go, I'm going to do a super quick interview with my good friend Jasmine. She's going to share more about super cool Google tool called NotebookLM. You'll have the opportunity to ask questions, and then we'll wrap up with some next steps and some special offers and stuff like that. So Jasmine, let's get right into it. You want to do a quick intro and tell us about your origin story?
Absolutely, Joey. So excited to be doing this again with you. So, my name is Jasmine Shells. I am an entrepreneur, founder, and I'm also a Grow with Google coach, which really just means I'm taking my 10 plus years of being a founder and sharing it with you all, and also teaching you how to use some of Google's awesome tools, right? To give you a little bit about my background, this girl is originally from Ohio. So, I moved to Chicago about, wow, 10 years ago now, which has been an incredible ride. And then when I moved here after I graduated from Notre Dame, I decided to get my MBA at the University of Chicago. So, very Midwest girl. And during my time getting my MBA, I launched a company called 5 to 9. So, it was an internal HR platform that we actually licensed to companies to help them automate some of the repetitive tasks that they had around internal events. So that's everything from employee onboarding to trainings to workshops, etc. And then we also provided the data on how that helped make companies more efficient from an ROI perspective and actually retain their employees. So raised 6 million for that business, and now I'm on to my next chapter. So it's been so great just working with founders, passing on what I know, and I'm really excited to chat more about AI and how AI can help HR operations today.
Awesome. So HR is your thing, right? HR is your thing. And
Mhm.
so, a few things about why at Goody Nation, this type of stuff is really important to us. So as many of you all know, we're focused on closing the relationship gap in the innovation economy, right? And so part of that gap is access to people. But once you get said people, you got to work with them well, or else you kind of squander that opportunity. So Jasmine, let's kind of get right into it, right? Let's share, you want to kind of share more about this opportunity, to get for entrepreneurs, for small business entrepreneurs in particular, to kind of get better in this space.
Yeah, think about it like this. When you are the CEO, or I like to call it the chief everything officer, all of it rides on you. You're doing ops, you're doing sales, but you're also doing HR. Usually, people don't bring on a dedicated HR person for some time. And one of the places that people spend the most money as a founder who's been there, done that, is in recruitment, right? It's in getting the best talent. But where people tend to miss, which is really hard to do, is focusing on retention. How do you
Mm.
keep them? So the amount of money that you spend in actually acquiring someone, people think, oh, someone quits, no big deal. We'll just get someone else. You actually end up spending more having to go and get someone else versus just retaining the people that you already have.
I love it. I love it. Well, let's get right into it. Let's
Mhm.
show the people how they can build an HR concierge that's built on AI, right? So let us. You want to go ahead and get to your slides?
Yeah, let's do it. All right, so super excited to talk today about how you can make AI work for you. This is an incredible series in which we go through multiple of Google's tools just to have specific use cases that apply to you individually. Because I think when people talk about leveraging AI, it seems like this big thing that you can do. But for us, it's like, how do we make that very practical to you and your business? I already gave you a little bit of a background on myself, so no need to go into that again. We could just dive right in. So, the first question I want you to think about is, what am I already doing that AI can help with? Right? So, with HR, I'm sure there's plenty of things that you're doing, from updating old policies to answering questions to your employees again and again about what your PTO policy is. you're probably already even thinking about how you can make training and onboarding a little bit more simple, right? These are all repetitive tasks that you're just doing manually and are taking a lot of your time. So what I'm going to show you is with a demo, we're going to be actually demonstrating with this company called Harmonious Hues Painting Company. This is a fictitious company, but for the purposes of today, this is my organization. I am the CEO of Harmonious Hues, a painting company that specializes in residential and commercial paint. And we will demonstrate how to leverage NotebookLM, which is Google's premier AI research assistant, to help you automate this workflow when it comes to HR, okay? So our whole focus is helping you to save time. Before we jump into that demo, one thing we really love to share is just a user story. Another founder who has the same issue that you all have experienced, who's leveraged Google's tools, specifically NotebookLM, to help them with their HR operations. So I'm going to play a video for you really quickly before we jump into our demo. And the person you're going to be hearing from in this demo in particular is Mike. So Mike, he's the CEO of Heritage Hospitality Group here in Chicago. They specialize in bikes, right, and creative spaces. So you will hear from him on specifically how he uses NotebookLM to help him as a CEO. So let's dive right in.
As a small business owner, my time is limited. So I use AI to help me create efficiencies throughout the business. Here's how I use AI to make communicating employee policies easier. In order for me to be efficient with my time, it's incumbent on me to find the resources available for my employees to have on hand. I would spend my time explaining and re-explaining policies and procedures to new employees. Previously, we'd have notebooks on site. Those would get lost. You'd have procedures you put in place that are then updated by the city of Chicago. I realized that NotebookLM would be an amazing tool to help with this issue. So we took the documents we already had existing in Google Drive. We would upload them straight into NotebookLM. Now we have 30, 40 different procedures and policies now in a notebook. From there, we send it off to employees. Now they can ask questions to NotebookLM directly. For example, if a new employee comes on board and asks, hey, how much time do we get up? What is the PTO policy? These things are kind of nuanced. It takes time to explain, but they can now ask the questions in Notebook, which is giving them answers based on the files that we uploaded. Now I can create the policy and get it out to people in a matter of minutes. I can't count how much time it's going to save me in the future.
Awesome. So you all just got to hear from Mike and how this has saved him so much time and so much energy when it comes to answering questions from his employees from an HR perspective. So now we're going to switch this and go from showing you the slides and talking about it to actually doing it. So we're going to dive into NotebookLM. Right now, if you're at your computer, if you want to go ahead and do this yourself, you're probably like, what is NotebookLM? Maybe you've never tried it before. You can go to notebooklm.google.com to create your account, and then we can do this together. So don't be afraid to go to notebooklm.google.com and let's dive in. So I will share my screen and we will go straight into the demo.
And while you're doing that, Jasmine, I know there's a question by Lorraine Dukes about, the team size. That's the target here. I can probably take a first stab at it, and then, you can dive in. I think, NotebookLM, you can use it for teams of 2 people, right? All the way up to as many people as you want, right? I mean, I think, for me, in my personal experience being an entrepreneur, once you hit that, 6 to 8 person, or at least 6 people on your team, to where, okay, a bunch of people asking me, questions, or a decent number of people asking me questions, probably good for me to have another, sourced in order to answer questions for. I mean, yeah, I can do it one person, right? Like one person asks me questions, cool. 2 people ask me questions, it doesn't take a lot of time. Once you get to get over 5, people, that's when you start to get your time back. But Jasmine, you may have a different take on it.
No, I think you nailed it right on the head. I remember with 5 to 9, when we first started, we were 4 people. Then we went from 4 people to 6. Then we went from 6 to 8. Then we went from 8 to 20. Right. So the complexity can grow very fast if you're growing and scaling. And the thing is with AI, it can help optimize some of that from just a hiring perspective. But, that's the thing that's nice about this tool. It's nimble and it can grow with you.
Nice, 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 nice.
Awesome. So let's dive into the demo. Hopefully you got NotebookLM up and running, but if not, do not fret. This video will be here for you. You can always come back to reference it, and you can do it in your own time as well. So as you can see in this screen right here, these are what are called our notebooks, okay? So these notebooks, you can have multiple of them sitting right here, and you can create all different types of use cases for them. So I have use cases around sales, I have use cases around discovery, and competitive research. I also have even done specific use cases that were just tailored to things I was trying to do for my personal brand. So you can create different types of notebooks for all types of use cases. But like we said today, we're focused on that internal HR concierge use case. So we're going to go into Harmonious Hues, the company that I was telling you that I'm the CEO of, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper and further on this HR concept, okay? So when you look into the NotebookLM panel, as you can see, it is divided into 3 panels. So the first panel is sources, the second panel is chat, the third panel is studio. So I'm going to walk you through each of these panels, and then we're going to do some live demoing to show you all the different amazing use cases and resources you have right here inside of NotebookLM. Sources. So when Mike was referencing his sources for the different policies that he said he had about 30 to 40 different sources just in this particular panel. So that shows you about how many documents that you could really add to this thing. And as he's grown in scale, every time he gets a new policy or document, Mike adds it. As you can see for Harmonious Hues, we have our own great list of different sources right here. If you want to say, well, what kind of sources can I add? If you open up this source panel, you can search the web for new sources, but this is the thing that I'll tell you that makes NotebookLM very, very powerful, that makes it so different from other AI tools, is that it really generates this information based on the sources you provided, based on your company data, based on your company policies. Whereas with most tools that are AI, right, you're asking it questions for it to pull from the interwebs, right? This, you're asking it questions to pull from your particular documents. So that's one thing that makes it so powerful, is it's really taking the information you give it and providing answers back. So that's how you know that it'll be giving answers that are specific to your company and not just generic. So you could upload files, you could upload websites or YouTube channels, for instance, links. You could connect it to your drive, or you can even copy and paste text. So I did a lot of uploading files. So I uploaded PDFs, but also what's really great about this is you could connect it straight to your Google Drive. So using Google's tools, if you're a Google user, they're all integrated. So just by connecting to your drive, you could come in and you can click on things that were shared with you in particular. You can go into your drive in particular, right? So you can just click and then insert and add. It's that simple. So that's what's really powerful. You can add new sources just like this. Moving on to the second panel, chat. So in particular with chat, as you can see, this is taking all the sources, which we have 10 of them from the sources panel, and it's aggregating all that information into chat. So now as an employee, instead of someone coming to Mike or to me as CEO of Harmonious Hues, if they want to ask about our PTO policy, they could come right here. So I'll show you with a quick example. Let's just say, what is my PTO policy? So I'm an employee inquiring of this in NotebookLM, right? So let's see what it says. So it'll kind of give you directions, it's investigating, and then it gives you an answer right back. Your paid time off is structured as follows. And then as you go down, you can see all the different answers that Mike or myself as CEO of Harmonious Hues would have had to responded to. But now an employee can go in here and get the answer immediately. What's also really cool is that it does these suggestions, as you can see. So it'll start to inquire based upon what it thinks that the employee is trying to ask and give it a suggested question. So how about this? Can I use my PTO to extend my parental leave? Let's say this is a parent who's digging into this in particular. Yes, great news. According to the employee handbook, you can do this. It's called the stacking policy. So imagine about how much time this will take you as the CEO, right, or Mike to answer these questions, or try to remember, well, what is our policy? Did we update that from 2024? I don't want to leverage the wrong information. People can go just right in here. I'll continue showing you more things in chat. But before I do that, I want to go on to our last and final panel, which is Studio. So as you can see, Studio is where all the magic happens, okay? I think Studio is the coolest part of the Notebook LM demo, and that's why we saved the best for last. So if you come over here, you can see all these different chips, okay? And these chips are different things that you can do with Notebook LM. So you can create, believe it or not, a podcast. Yes, a podcast with the specific sources that you've uploaded for your company. So when employees, like let's say they want to just learn about your PTO policy or your HR operations policies in their spare time, hey, who says that, there are some HR nerds out there while they're on a drive, let's say from Ohio to Chicago, they can listen to this podcast to get all the information about it. But what if they're more visual learners? If they're more visual learners, they can actually produce a slide deck out of this. And last but not least, if they wanted to have a better representation of all the different categories that exist within your HR policies and operations, they can create a mind map. So to do that, all you have to come and do within the Studio panel is just click a source. This is a video overview. As you can see, you can decide, do I want an explainer video? Do I want a short video? Let's say we want a short video, okay? Okay, we're going to go with explainer video today. That's what it looks like it's going to do for us since this is still new. And we'll say we want whiteboard and generate. And then right here, it'll start generating. So that typically takes a few minutes. So what I've done in anticipation of that is I've actually preloaded some of these things for you. So like I said, we can do a podcast. I'm going to start with podcast to give you an example of what this can look like.
Baked in expectation of chaos, right?
Oh, absolutely. Total chaos.
Right. You picture drop cloths all bunched up in the hallways, maybe a half-empty coffee cup balanced precariously on some aluminum scaffolding.
Usually right next to an open can of primer.
Exactly. Dust hanging in the air and some poor guy trying to match a faded swatch of beige from like...
So as you can see, they make it really fun and interactive talking about paint. You could also do this thing called interactive, where essentially you can play the audio and you can interrupt it. So let's see if it'll work for me today. Let's give it a shot. So we're trying this together.
Oh, hey, I think our listeners got something to say.
Hi, I was wondering if you could tell me about the different types of painting we do here at Harmonious Hues.
Oh yeah, let's hear it.
Oh, I was wondering if you could tell me about the different types of painting we do here at Harmonious Hues. Of course, it's going to do this to me right now, but it's a really cool feature and it works.
We would love to dive into that for you.
It is actually quite a diverse range of work once you look under the hood.
Exactly. It is not just dipping a brush into a bucket of beige paint and hoping for the best.
Harmonious Hues really breaks their services down into 3 major categories based on the specific property needs.
Okay, let's unpack the first one, which is their bread and butter, the premium residential side.
This is where the master craftsmanship really shines.
Perfect. So you can see, you can actually have an interactive conversation with the podcast. So that's something that's super cool. I'm glad that that ended up working for us. Another thing for the visual learners I wanted to show in particular was that it can create a PowerPoint or a slide deck for you. So you can come in here and you can look at the different things that it breaks down. So this is a corporate and operational playbook that it created off of our sources. So it's really nice. And you can revise it, which is really cool. So if there's something you don't like about it, you can edit. And you can also give it feedback on if the content is good or if it's bad. So it has so much flexibility here. And even if you wanted to take this deck and you wanted to provide this to a new employee in onboarding, you can do that. So it really gives you the ability to take your sources and make them work for you. And last but not least, I wanted to show you that mind map that I talked about. Okay, so as you can see, this is a mind map. And it really just breaks down the company's different sources and policies in all these different categories. So I can see employee benefits. I can see our archive policies. I can see what's our, stance for remote work. So let's say I wanted to dig more into remote work and equipment. Okay, let's look into this model. It seems like it's hybrid flexible. Let's click into that. And as I click into that, you can see in the chat panel, it starts giving us more information about our remote work framework. Okay, so let's say I don't want to read all this because I'm lazy and I'm tired. What are the hours for remote work and who is eligible? All right, let's see what happens. So it's processing, clarifying. Okay. All right. So it says we are to maintain core working hours between 10 and 3 and eligibility, right? So general eligibility. Um, okay. A distinction between W-2 employees and independent contractor crews. So this is nice to see that there is a distinction. And if there's something that's missing, right, you can always put a thumbs down like, hey, it didn't give me enough information about the eligibility requirement. So as you can see, NotebookLM really does have all these powerful kind of options for what you're trying to build around your HR policy. But similar to what Mike said, he took 30 to 40 different sources. Here we have 8 to 10. And his employees were able to come to chat and ask all types of questions around PTO and onboarding. And last but not least, they were also able to break down this information into different formats that worked for them. So it has tons of power. I'll take a pause there, Joey, to see if you have any questions or if there's any other questions from the chat.
Yeah, I mean, well, kind of going back to Lorraine, we talked about how this is the target is like probably like 5 or more, people on your team. And to be clear, like when you say people on your team, this could be employees, it could be, other people that do work with you so you can share with them and stuff like that. It's people that need to know information about your company, but it's still, internal. That being said, if it's just you, this is still, in my opinion, Jasmine, correct me if I'm wrong, but or if you have a different one, like if it's still just you could, is it still valuable just for a single person company, right? It can help you see like from a mind map perspective and kind of see where you're strong, maybe some areas, where you need a little bit of help. You could use it for presentation purposes and things of that nature, right? So it is of use for companies of all size, including single person companies, in my opinion. But I think you start to get time back to where it frees the CEO up, the president up. It frees them up when you start to hit around 5 people. But anything else on that, Jasmine?
Yeah, I would say, even if it's around you trying to organize yourself a little bit better, or you trying to familiarize yourself with something a little bit better, you can use this as a way if you need to understand and know the HR policies. Let's say you're someone who needs to enforce them and you get asked questions by different executives and you're like, oh, well, what is that? You can use this as a tool where you can go in and you can say, hey, tell me about this, tell me about that, when you can use it as something that you're going back and forth with as a way to practice and like level up your skill set. So really, yes, you can use it for your teams. You can have notebooks that are dedicated for your team. But what's great about this is you can also have notebooks that are dedicated for you. So, you really can create all types of notebooks. There's all types of access opportunities on who you share that with, or even if you're working with someone on one project, you can do that as well.
Nice. And then Lorraine says her biggest use case is for her AI agent. So, really, really interesting there. We have another question from Sabine Taylor. And Sabine, we may have to ask you to clarify, but her question is, do your users stay in chat to ask all questions?
Yes. So for NotebookLM in particular, can you hear me? Yes. So for NotebookLM in particular, you do come to chat to ask these questions. This is similar to how like in Gemini, how you can go into chat and you can just query and prompt. Think of this as doing this, but with your own sources and your own information inside of your notebook. So you would come in here and query and prompt within the chat panel in particular.
Nice. Those are all the questions for now.
Awesome. So if there's no other questions in particular on the demo, the thing that I would do is I'll go back to the presentation. But yeah, I definitely recommend that you all come in here, you check out, you come in here, you say, hey, let me try adding some sources. And if you need help thinking of some sources to add, you can go into Gemini and you can say, hey, Gemini, I want to learn how to use NotebookLM a little bit more. Let's say it's for sales strategy or trying to land an account. For example, can you create me some documents that I can use just to practice? And it'll create documents for you, Google Doc documents that you could then add as sources, okay? And you could come in here and start to get a look and a feel for it. And also just try out the different things in Studio. There's quizzes, reports, flashcards, video overviews, infographics, data tables. I mean, you can go on and on with the different types of things that you can have it build out in particular. So it's pretty cool. This was the infographic that I had it create, which is really exciting. So, you know, as you can see, it breaks down all the benefits. It says the 2026 benefits upgrade is comparing it to the 2024 policies. So this is something that's really nice if you're thinking about trying to demonstrate to your employees all the amazing changes you've maybe made from, you know, annual review, et cetera. An infographic like this was spun up in a matter of minutes. So.
Nice. Actually, Sabina has a follow-up question. She's asking about the interactive voice response for the podcast. I'm assuming maybe Sabina's connected to the previous question around users staying in chat. So, you know, perhaps Jasmine, can you show the interactive podcast piece and how that's maybe accessed? And you know, Sabina, is there anything else that left out?
1998. It is.
Yes, I can show that. Just give me 1 second as I pull this up. Yep. So you come here and then there's two ways that you can listen to it. You can either just listen to it normal, or if you want it to be interactive, you have to click this here button within this piece, and it takes you into interactive mode. And once you are in interactive mode, you have to join. Okay. So let's say you start to play your audio. And
Okay, so let's unpack this.
That conversation.
Whoa, did someone just break the fourth wall? Let's hear it.
Right. Yeah, we wanted to know, and I'm not sure if you can answer this, but let's try. The questions that I ask here and the things that I talk about here, are you taking notes of that? Or is there a way that we can make sure that's documented? Oh, come on.
Hey, yeah, what's up?
I was wondering if you're taking notes of our conversation. See,
That is a great question. And I love that you're thinking about documentation and record keeping already.
Oh, absolutely. We are definitely keeping track of everything we discuss here today, especially your insights.
What's fascinating here is that we actually use some of the same tools as the Harmonious Hughes team.
Right. Just like the residential project managers use Slack for real-time field communication and daily progress photos.
And they use the company drive to verify HR policies or store before and after portfolios for clients.
Exactly. So we're essentially building our own digital portfolio of this conversation right alongside you as we speak.
so it says yes. And I just did a presentation on NotebookLM at Google, and I got the same question, and we were like, yes, you know, me and the other Google folks were like, we believe that it does, but where is it? You know, so that was a question we were looking to figure out ourselves. So I will look more into that, and I can post in the comments once I have an ability to dive a little deeper there.
Nice. Cool. So I think you're going to bring back up the presentation.
Yep. But as you
Okay.
can see, interactive mode is fun. You know, always in a demo, you don't know when it will work, when it won't work. But as you can see, it does hear you and it will respond. So that's one thing that's really cool about that.
Nice.
All
And while Jasmine's bringing up the presentation, I just want to kind of share a few things. One, if you are an entrepreneur support organization anywhere in the Midwest, or if you coach entrepreneurs yourself, or you have a following of entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs, students or nonprofits, you can partner with Jasmine to go live, just like I'm doing today. For free, quite honestly. And so, we'd love to partner, with the good folks in the Midwest. We have coaches for if you're not in the Midwest, we have Jasmine has other colleagues and for covering other parts of the US. And so just reach out to her and she'll provide that information later in order to make that happen.
Yes, my friends can be your friends. Okay. So if you are not in the Midwest, you're in a different region, reach out and I'm happy to connect you with the appropriate person. All right. So we just did a demo of NotebookLM. We all did that together. That was super fun. It's my first time talking about the HR use case, and I was so excited to do that from being in the HR domain for the last 8 years. So I was really pumped just to share a little bit more about NotebookLM and how it can help the HR use case. Moving forward, I want to talk a little bit more about just different things that Google has to offer and just kind of do a summary of what we learned today. So what's really interesting about AI, right? There's a lot of conversation about, is it useful? Is it not useful? So there was this study that was actually done by the Small Business and Entrepreneurship Council that found that founders like you and me, small business owners, are saving about 13 hours a week when it comes to leveraging AI tools, which is massive, right? That's almost like a part-time job when you think about it. So think about what you would do with 13 more hours back in your day. And if you are trying to figure out how to leverage AI, if it makes sense for you, you could start small and go from there. So don't feel like you need to, tackle everything at once. But a lot of people just do learn it by use cases that apply to them. So always go back to that question: what can AI do for you in terms of a repetitive task that you like to automate? And act responsibly. So we call act, assess, consider, tell. So really, when it comes to assessing, think about the human in the loop approach. So anytime we talk about using AI, we talk about using a human in the loop approach, which means we just don't let it go operate in a vacuum. So there always should be someone who is there to make sure that its output is being looked after for accuracy and bias, etc. It's almost if you were talking to a coworker, right? Think of AI as that. You're talking to a coworker and you gave them instructions. If you didn't give them specific enough instructions, or if you're the manager and you didn't review their work and you just sent it along and there was a mistake, right? Think of it like that. You also have to make sure that the work that AI is doing is accurate and doesn't have bias. The other thing is just consider what you're even uploading into different LLMs and in these different tools. If you have private information that maybe you should remove before you put in there, or certain names or PII, et cetera, just consider what you're uploading and make sure that, you have that in mind. And last but not least, tell people that you're using it. I think, one example I saw of someone was leveraging AI to produce different things for their product team, but they had generated by Claude Code on the different things that it produced. So people knew, okay, this person leveraged AI to do this, and it helped a lot. So if you saw something that was a little wonky or off or not really in the same style that the company really speaks in, or you're used to seeing different things presented, you know that it's because it was generated by AI. So these are some good frameworks that we like to put forward when it comes to adopting AI in your org or even for yourself. So always act responsibly. And think about what your AI action plan will be. So I know for me, it was really, talking to entrepreneurs like you, learning from you, right? It was also taking different courses. Like I've signed up for different courses. I've gone to different meetups. So how can you just continue to become more literate when it comes to AI? Definitely, as there's so many tools coming out and so many things that are evolving fast. So think of what your AI action plan would be. And we can help you with that. So there's a couple of things that we provide here at Google, just for people who've watched this live stream or who attend our workshops. But one is the Google AI Professional Certificate. So we offer that for free. So US businesses can, go to grow.google/business, and you can get this at no cost to train for yourself. And if you have a team, also for your team or your employees. So that's one way just to get people a little bit more comfortable, or even for you to freshen up on your skills. The next thing that we have is actually the Make AI Work for You. So the thing that we just went through with you, there's about 13 modules that are really cool that walk through all these different use cases that are on Google's website. So if you want to sit down and dive deep through all the different applications that you can leverage it for, from Pomelo to Gemini to NotebookLM, you can do that as well. So lots of powerful things here. And think about what new habits you can start. If it's prompting more, if it's just testing out new tools, if it's creating an account and trying to see if you can get one thing that you like to automate it and testing it to see if it works. So this is how this evolution, right, really takes hold, is just by people getting in there and experimenting and not being afraid to try something that you're not super used to. And last but not least, I'd just like to thank you for, your time. For me, this is always so fun to do, just to go on and teach people about AI tools and technology. I always think about when I was a founder, how I wish we had this stuff, because that CEO, chief everything officer, was even more real pre-AI. So if you want to dive deeper, okay, if you want to dive deeper into your business, into your potential business, into workflows, into the different tools that Google has, from Gemini to what we just went through, NotebookLM, etc. You could sign up for a free small group session. So we do these small group coaching sessions, and you would work with a coach like me. You'll work with me. And essentially we would have an hour, and there would be a small group, be limited at 10 people at a time. And you can just come and ask your questions. It's been really fun doing these. People end up giving each other ideas. It becomes a community, and it's completely free, and it takes about a minute to sign up. So you can just take this QR code and you can sign up for a small group coaching. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me on LinkedIn.
Awesome. So people can find you. The best way for folks to find you is LinkedIn.
Yes. LinkedIn is the best way to find me. I say that's the best.
Okay. Well, good stuff. No, thanks for joining us, Jasmine. So again, if you're interested in partnering with Jasmine to do one of these live streams, or even doing a virtual workshop just for your group of entrepreneurs, reach out to her on LinkedIn. If you're interested in being a part of a small group coaching session, all these completely complimentary, reach out to her on LinkedIn as well. So Jasmine, thanks again for this. We got to have you come back, talk about a different use case, maybe a different tool a little bit later on, and we'll kind of go from there. So I'll end what we say here at Goody Nation, y'all. Two things: one, stay magnetic, and then two, outwork yesterday. Peace out.